So hopefully this won't sound like crap because, well, I've been sick for the last week. And then 2 weeks prior, I was injured. So I've had a wonderful month. That's why I haven't recorded much of anything in the last little while. But can't be helped, right, I guess. Um, Here's an interesting thought. I was watching that DACA was now in the Supreme Court's view. It's going to get shut down. I can guarantee you it's going to get shut down. You have to compare it to the Constitution. That's all the Supreme Court does. And sitting law. They're going to listen to both arguments and decide what is right. The fact of the matter is, whether they like it or not, these are juvenile criminals. Because the existing law says they are. It used to be that you could be what's called an anchor baby. You could come across the thing illegally, and if you're born here, you're a natural citizen because U.S. is one of the only countries, I believe, that has naturalization within the Constitution. So if you're born here, you're a citizen. Period. But if you're brought here after birth, say like you're two, you're not. Period. There's no way around it. So if you came here illegally, period. Wow, there's a lot of periods in this, isn't there? Then you're not a citizen. Therefore, you get nothing. Is it shit? Absolutely. I think it's wrong. But the Supreme Court's not going to fix this. I guarantee you that they're not going to fix this. What's going to happen is that they're going to look at all the case law. They're going to look at all the standing ovation shit. They're going to look at all the arguments. They're not going to listen to a goddamn word any of those protesters say because they're pointless. And they're going to go with what's in the Constitution and what's in sitting law, thus making these kids illegal aliens and up for deportation, regardless that you spent 20 years here going through high school, going through college in some cases with these kids, even serving in the military, which used to get you citizenship if you served. Personally, I think if you wanted to come across, become a citizen, and serve in the military, that's perfectly fine. Because the military will be able to catch you if you're planning on doing some shady shit, because they have psych evals and whatnot. Anyways, not to mention, I think it should be a 10-year stint in the military if you're going to be a foreign national, and you should not be enabled or trained for combat. I think you should be trained for being a water technician or a radio technician or the other jobs that no one else fucking wants. Mechanic, that'd be pretty good. Something around those lines. I mean, they're useful skills when you get out of the military, for one. But that's besides the point. I've seen a lot of discussion about what the Supreme Court is going to do for DACA. In all rationality, what will happen is Trump has rescinded the executive order. The executive order is not law. It is the president saying, you can forego paying attention to this law because I said so. That's literally what it is. Obama basically said, ignore the law. Bad idea. Because then Trump came along and said, nah, pay attention to the law. Congress, do your fucking job. That is the correct answer, and that's actually what Obama said originally. He's like, if you want changes in our immigration system, make a law. I'll review it. I'll sign it. Trump said the exact same thing, but, of course, since Orange Man bad, it's Trump, make a law because we said so, and if you don't, you're racist. Obama does the same thing. Obama, could you please do this for us? Because the Republicans are just so mean. So he writes an executive order. Trump's not a pussy. Obama clearly was. I've watched a few of his things that just really freaking irritated the living shit out of me, even though I voted for him. And I was like, well, I voted for this shit. I'm not going to wallow in it. But I digress. This is not going to go the way people think, because there's nothing in the Constitution that guarantees citizenship for these people. They were not born here. If they were naturalized, then yes, they would get their citizenship. However, I do think that the sins of the father should not be placed on the sins of the son, as the biblical reference would go, even though it's stupid to do it that way. But I think it's fair because it happens a lot in our, I guess, evolutionary chain. One assumes that if you have parents, they're criminal. The son too, or the daughter will equally be as criminal. This was the case because that's who was raising you. That's who was teaching you things. That's no longer the case because we have schools and public education and peer groups and all that fun stuff. So it's easy to not follow in the steps of your father when you don't have to. I'm probably living proof of that because my parents were drug dealers and I am not, obviously. Or I wouldn't be able to be in a house and still be talking to you. I'd probably be in jail. I digress, though. So this will not go the way these people think. DACA will not get reintroduced. Nothing will happen. Congress will need to do its job. So if these protesters really want change the way they want, don't want to get kicked out of this country, well, they better be trying to convince people that can vote not to vote for those people that reject the idea of making a law that allows them citizenship. Because that is the only way it's going to happen. Right now, these idiots are supporting Democrats. The fun part about this entire thing is all these DACA kids, they're about 20 maybe or less now, 22, and their parents, none of them can vote. So them protesting will do zero good because they can't make a difference here. They do not have voting rights. They are not citizens of this country. If they want to make a change, they need to go to the people that can. You need to convince the people of each state to talk to their senator and say, if you do not vote, if you do not write a law this year before Trump is out of office, or if you do not do it by the time, make an ultimatum like that. This would really twist their panties in a knot. This would be a great idea. I don't know how well it would go, but it would be hilarious as fuck. All these people should go to every single Democrat and tell them, we're about to be kicked out of the country. Trump has agreed if they change the immigration law to make it easier to come into the country and grant them citizenship for not being the victim of their circumstance, not being the victim, no, for being the victim of their circumstance, then we'll just vote for Trump. Because he has agreed to do just that. So long as they write the law that'll do just that. If they fix the immigration laws to make it easier, make it a raffle where you get the best of the best, basically, and allow a certain amount, because if you see my previous video on this very subject, this is a cash cow for the government. They don't want to fix it because they're making $2 to $4 billion a year off of people. Sometimes taking 20 years just to get their citizenship. From India in particular, I know it takes that long. There's some fast track stuff where you pay more to get it, but literally it's a cash cow. They don't want to change this shit. So what can you do? Convince the voters that they should talk to their senators. They should talk to their representatives and say, look, I want my citizenship. I am not responsible for the actions of my parents. I want to be able to stay here because this is the only country I know. I don't want to be sent back to El Salvador or any other country for that matter. Make me a citizen and pass the goddamn law that changes the way you can get citizenship so my parents can stay too. If you do not, I will find somebody to replace you. And we will run against you. Hell, you could have a bunch of AOCs, essentially. Bartenders from nowhere fucking Idaho. Run for House of Representatives. Run for Senate in general. Congress. Be a senator, be a U.S. representative. Fund their campaign, have them replaced. If they and as Nancy Pelosi once said, all you have to do is put a D next to their name and they'll frickin' win. Well, do just that. they may actually agree with Trump because Trump has proposed this shit. It's one of the few things I actually agree with him on, which is a freaking miracle. But do that. Why not? If you don't do what we need, we will have you replaced. You're messing with our life. I'd appreciate it if you didn't. How hard is that? Shouldn't be that hard, because every one of them is going to want to keep their goddamn power. Every single one of them. Especially those frickin' squad, because they have been against this as well. And what was the Democrats' excuse? Oh no, we want a clean bill for the Dreamers, is what they called them. A clean bill. Trump said, you can do this, but we want you to fix immigration too, because it's fucked up. And they're like, no, we don't want to fix immigration. We just want to let these people in. That's literally what they wanted. That's not how shit works. They should have figured that out. The reason why they don't want to do it, link in the description, I guess. I'll put my video there. It's exactly why they don't want to do it. It's a cash cow. But anyways, I thought I'd leave this on the table. You guys that are protesting the Supreme Court, asking for them to change things, they will not. The existing law is established. There's plenty of case law that says you're fucked. There's nothing in the Constitution that supports DACA. Nothing. It's unconstitutional. It was an executive order that was appraised and applied. And the next president has the power to remove said executive order. They are not law. You can't just give around imperial decrees by the God Emperor Obama and think they're going to stick. That's not how our country works. Sorry to say, you're fucked. Oh well, doesn't matter to me. Because my wife has permanent citizenship. Well, actually, she's not a citizen. She has permanent residency. So she's not going anywhere. Neither is the rest of her family. Because the older laws, when they came through, were like that. You could have your kids come across. But here's the kicker. Her parents came across legally. They didn't sneak through the country. They weren't smuggled on a boat because she's Filipino. So that's all I got about this. I thought I'd share my little thoughts about this DACA hearing proceeding. I already see it going nowhere. It's not going to go the way they want. What they should do is threaten the sitting dumbasses that don't want to do the job that they're hired to and just want to grandstand and feel good about themselves with this impeachment fucking hearing that will do nothing because there's nothing illegal that goddamn Trump has done. If it's illegal to ask another government to investigate corruption, you dumb shits have an issue. Really bad issue. Just think about that, if you would. That's a different story for a different time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
I've completed my work. Time for me to go.